Hey, what's going on? Ryan Kohler here, founder of Applicant Pro and CEO of Refer.io. And today I'm going to dig into branding, but we're going to start at the very highest level of what is employer branding and why should you care? I think one of the big misconceptions when we talk about employer branding is that we think about it like, well, it's having a style guide with our color scheme and our logos, and maybe it's about having flashy videos or whatever the case may be. And all of those things are the style of a great employer brand, but they aren't, number one, a requirement. And number two, they are definitely not the most important. One of the reasons for that is that most of the places where job seekers learn about your brand, whether it's on a job board, in an ad, on your employer profile there, or whether it's in an email they receive or in your job ad, most of those areas is straight text. It's not video. It's not graphics. It's not color scheme, which means it's about something different. When we think about what the goal is of an employer brand, it's really the promise or the projection. We'll go with the projection and the promise that we're making out to the job seekers in our talent pool about what it will be like to work for us. Right? And so in that instance, what they really want is substance. They want authenticity and transparency. They want to hear what makes you unique, but not just different to be different, but what makes you compelling and relevant when it comes to what they're looking for, and what makes you credible that this promise, this projection that you're putting out there is actually believable. And that's really the way to think about employer brand versus culture. Right? The culture is what it's like to work for your organization as experienced by your employees. Your values, your leadership style, your management approach, all those types of things that they experience on a daily basis having worked for you. Your brand is taking that and projecting it to people who don't have that same experience, who haven't been behind the scenes or within the walls of your company, and how can you explain it to them in a way that they can compare that, what it's like to work for you, versus where they work today, and make the determination that moving to work for you would be an upgrade, not a straight across, and definitely not a downgrade. And so when we start thinking about what that means, whether it's somebody pitching as a video creation for our team, or somebody talking about programmatic, or somebody talking about job ads, or any of those types of things, you can kind of break up the concept of branding and recruitment marketing into, is it about who our target is? Is it about our unique employer value proposition or the promise and projection we're going to make? Is it about how we're going to communicate that, whether it's text or video or audio or graphics? And then is it about how we're going to distribute that content out into the world? And the final one is it about kind of conversion of those people into an actual hire? And so when we think about that, if you're jumping right to how are we going to distribute it, i.e. programmatic, or if you're jumping right to how are we going to communicate it, i.e. video versus text, then you're skipping over this really important part of, do we actually have the right strategy in place? Have we identified who we want to target and why they might be looking for a new job, and how working for us is going to be an upgrade, our unique employer value proposition? And anybody who skips past those things is really kind of rolling the dice. Now, you might look at that and say, well, how would we figure this out? And this is kind of my number one secret for the day. It's not about looking at what your competitors are doing. It's not about talking to a consultant. It's not about, copying everybody else. And it's not about running a survey of your team. While those things are potential ways that you can gather information, and a survey does have its part, the very first thing you need to do is just have an informal conversation with your team. I would start with talking to your managers and saying, who is it that we would love to clone here? For each department, each role, just individually from a culture standpoint, who are some examples of people that we would love more people like them? That's number one. Number two would be to break up that group between those who've been with us forever. And the question is, do we love having them around because they know so much? Versus those who are much newer, say 6 to 18 to 24 months. And I personally focus on the ones who've been with us a shorter period of time. And my reason is really quite simple. When I go and talk to them about where they worked before and what they loved and hated about that and why they were looking for a job and why coming to work for us was such a benefit, their information is more relevant because it's happened more recently. And so that right there is kind of your secret takeaway of the day. Go and find somebody who's been working with you for 6 to 18 to 24 months and have a casual, informal conversation with them about, hey, like, where did you used to work? What did you used to do there? What did you love about it? What caused you to start looking for a new place to work? What were the challenges you were trying to get away from or overcome? Or what were the opportunities that you were running to? Like, what was it you were looking for? And then now that you've been with us for 6 or 12 or 18 months, like, what was it about our ad that made you think that we could solve those challenges or amplify your goals? And what do you love about working for us now? If you were to go back to yourself before you got the job, what would you say to yourself? How would you talk about this opportunity to yourself before you knew anything about it? And that right there gives you this wealth of information and knowledge. Now, once you've done enough of those interviews, you could totally take that and now you have an assumption that you're trying to test with a survey. And that is basically, are these 3 or 4 people's stories, are they representative of most of our employees, or are they kind of one-off outliers? And that is something great to use a survey for. Once we've made the assumption and gathered the knowledge and we know how to ask it, then we can ask it out to the other employees to validate whether it is representative of our whole company. Just keep in mind that I don't actually need to go do the survey before I could use this knowledge to start actually hiring more people. Because it's possible that this person's experience, since we determined that they were somebody we want to clone, it's okay that it isn't representative of everybody else. As long as it's representative of the type of people we want to hire going forward, based off of where we're trying to drive our culture and our organization and our work experience and all that stuff forward. And so that is the step-by-step how I start off in the branding game, is figuring out my who, figuring out my why, and figuring out my how. So just keep that in mind. Who do I want to clone? Why would they be looking for a job? And how would working for me be the solution to, or be an upgrade compared to where they're at? Thanks so much for watching. We'll talk to you again soon.